The U.S. House of Representatives has voted to withhold 100% of U.S. assistance to Nigeria over what lawmakers describe as Nigeria's failure to prevent violence against Christians and religious minorities. Let's watch.
I rise in strong support for my amendment to increase the withholding threshold for assistance to Nigeria from 50% to 100%, while keeping in place benchmarks that demand Nigeria take effective steps to address the violence and persecution that continue to devastate the country. Nigeria has faced a horrific wave of violence that its corrupt government has failed to address. For years, and especially in recent months, Christians and other religious minorities in Nigeria have been subjected to violence and terrorism at the hands of extremists operating with impunity. Christian women and girls continue to be abducted, assaulted, tortured, and killed. Their churches are burned, and entire communities are erased. If the aid conditions included in the bill are important enough to withhold half of all the funding to the Nigerian government, then they are important enough to withhold all of the funding. The generosity of our taxpayers is a reflection of the American values we hold so firmly. Never should we allow their hard-earned tax dollars to be funneled to corrupt regimes that fail to uphold religious freedom, fail to adequately confront terrorism, and fail to protect the innocent from persecution. So why are we rewarding a government that fails to meet such a basic obligation? This amendment is simple. It does not remove the aid conditions in the bill, but only strengthens such conditions. But most importantly, it upholds a principle that all recipients of American taxpayer assistance should follow, that they must prove they are willing and able to respond to violence before receiving any funding. Simply put, meet the standard before receiving support. That is the accountability the American taxpayer deserves. Foreign aid should never be a reward for failure. So as our national debt is fast approaching 40 trillion, why on earth are we still allowing ourselves to go further into debt by rewarding corrupt foreign governments that tolerate terrorism within their borders? When churches are burned, women and girls are abducted, and terrorists operate with near impunity, that is not merely an internal disturbance, it is a direct assault on the freedoms our nation claims to defend, which our foreign assistance must reflect and uphold. This is not about punishing the Nigerian people. It is about demanding accountability for their government's complacency and ensuring that our foreign aid is leveraged to defend, reflect, and uphold American values.
Well, Nigerians are reacting, and the responses are fierce and divided. The U.S. lawmaker also invoked America's nearly $40 trillion national debt, questioning why taxpayers should fund a government he says is not holding perpetrators accountable. But some Nigerians online are pushing back, pointing out that framing Nigeria's complex security crisis as exclusively a Christian persecution issue is an oversimplification that ignores the fact that Muslims are also victims of the same terrorism. Others argue that this is less about religion and more about America's domestic politics ahead of 2026 midterms. What is not debatable, however, is if U.S. aid is cut, it will affect hospitals, schools, and humanitarian programs that serve ordinary Nigerians and not the politicians being targeted. Well, good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai. And would I say happy Friday, TGIF. Well, you've heard the lawmaker there. And of course, Nigerians are reacting, like I said. This is a huge conversation that has been going on, not just now, throughout the entire year. And I'll take reactions on X. Onion wrote, even the 50% you give Nigeria, we never see the results. No accountability, no explanation, no impact on the streets. Money goes in, stories follow, nothing changes. So, withholding is perfectly okay. Stop funding a black hole and calling it assistance. Khalid wrote, the US has its own internal politics to play. But Nigeria's leaders need to get serious about actually fixing our internal security issues so we don't give foreign nations reasons to intervene. Koda wrote, I have no issues with this, but what I want to know is that why are they calling it a Christian persecution? Muslims and even other people with other beliefs are also being persecuted. It shows that as long as you are not a Christian, you can go to hell for all they care. That's why they keep funding Israel. And that is also another point that is being made here, the oversimplification of the issue as a Christian genocide. But the US have their policy. They can choose what it is that they want to use their aid to do. Your thoughts? I know we've discussed this, but I want to just quickly, highlight the responses of the Nigerian people.
And I said earlier, because even earlier was divided. There were divided opinions, and was quite a good debate around that. But yes, everyone has made a point, and I think it's important to note, number one, it's the US's money. They can choose based on their domestic policy what they want to do and who they target. In Nigeria, we can define the situation as, and we have seen, if you look at the kidnapped victims, for instance, in Orire local government in Oyo State, before the kidnappers unleashed their mayhem, they didn't ask, oh, are you Christian or Muslim? I know there are also bigger conversations as to what's happening in the Middle Belt region of Nigeria, which we have highlighted as well. And I have maintained that two truths can coexist. We can have a particular group being targeted, and we can also have a more general, complex situation as we have currently in Nigeria. Having said that, I did mention earlier, and I align with what I think one of the posts had said, that if the aim of withdrawing this assistance, foreign assistance to the country, is to get the government to act, then withdrawing aid is going to be counterproductive, because the people who usually benefit from these assistance are projects that are for the most vulnerable in society, projects that address health issues. There's malaria, there's HIV/AIDS, there's maternal mortality, problems that address humanitarian crisis, problems that address poverty, eradicating or minimizing poverty. And so it is the people that will suffer. And that was the case I made earlier on. It wasn't to absolve the federal government or Nigeria from doing its responsibility. But what we have currently on ground is that these assistance go a long way in bridging the inefficiencies of government in certain areas in Nigeria. So I was addressing the fact that it was a wrong solution based on his arguments to address the government not acting, if that was his premise. What is a better way, like I suggested, is use the Magnitsky Act. Freeze assets of politically exposed people whom their investigations have revealed have a connection with these terrorists. Go after their assets. Go after, family members. Get them and hit them where it's hardest, so that it goes directly to them. Because there's always a big debate around, withdrawals just like this, whether it be in Nigeria or Russia or any part of the world, that who does it really affect? And so these are some of the interventions. And then on a final note, I'd said that perhaps the congressman had not been intimate with some of the developments recently in Nigeria. Is it enough? Absolutely not. There's still a persistent call on the Nigerian government to rise up to the occasion of addressing terrorism. But there have been a number of things that have been done since the first call by President Donald Trump on his Truth Social account. Number one is that we've now had this collaboration between Nigeria and the US. Number two is that we've now seen a lot more effort in trying to rescue kidnapped victims. Number three is that we've had an appointment of a director for Homeland Security by the presidency. Number four is that we've had more forest guards being appointed or being recruited. Number five is that we now have the state police bill being rigorously debated. So these are some of the interventions. Are they enough? Not at all. Until every Nigerian feels safe enough in their homes, in their farms, in their workplaces, until the IDP camps are emptied and people can be rehabilitated or reintegrated back into their local community, we are not anywhere close to being there. And so the pressure must continue. Nigerians themselves must hold their president and commander-in-chief to account that we must have a safer Nigeria.
Very well said.